last week.
What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 47, Gestures and Complaints of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. We are here. Sorry if I am distracted. I have the Yankees game on the big screen right in front of me, so I'll be dual focusing tonight, both on that and on the podcast. Big game. Series is tied 1-1. The Yankees are up 1-0 in the bottom of the fourth, so I will keep you guys updated on that. Obviously, when most of you watch this, you will already know the outcome of that game, but it's always fun to watch someone watch sports live, right? So, but before we kind of get into anything else, we just want to make sure that we say that our thoughts and prayers are with the people in the path of Hurricane Milton. If you have the means to, please evacuate and stay safe. I know that that's easier said than done, obviously, and it is already hitting the shores, I believe, kind of as we speak. But we were down there last weekend. They're lovely people. St. Pete and Tampa are beautiful places. So just prayers for them as they are hit by a second hurricane in about 2 weeks. And just hoping that, here are the prayers that it calms down and it isn't a Category 5 when it finally hits. So.
Yeah. For those of you, Morgan said it best, get out while you still can. It's kind of hard right now with it being a hit at 2 a.m., but hopefully nothing else on top of what's already happened comes up. I know a lot of y'all are, a lot of people have come up here, but to the Northeast. But for those of you that have not, we are praying and keeping our thoughts with you and hoping that you guys can survive. Obviously, Florida hurricanes, it happens a lot, but not back to back like this. So, before we get that, we wanted to do that. And if nothing else, a little hard turn here. Don't forget to follow us on X / the former Bird app, Twitter. Morgan is at M_India_Miller. I am at Kylan W. Watson. And we got our returning. He finally back. We were just talking about you. What's up, RC?
We were talking about you last week. We were saying, where have you been? Good to see you back, RC.
Good to see you. I said that you were going through your Caitlin Clark and WNBA playoffs, and here you are again. So thank you, bro, for coming through. Other than that, again, hard turn here with the hurricane stuff. But Morgan, how was your weekend? I know we always start.
It was good. Yeah, I was down in Tampa. There you can definitely see the kind of some of the downsides of what Hurricane Helene did do down there. But I had a lovely weekend with some friends at a wedding, some people that I hadn't seen in a while from college. It was really awesome. Then I went down to DC and I covered the A10 Media Day for NBC. So it's a good weekend. I'm exhausted. I really cannot wait to get into bed. As soon as this podcast is over, I will be taking a shower and jumping into bed if the Yankees game is done. How's yours?
Yeah. It was pretty good, pretty chill. I'm trying to think, what exactly did we do? Oh, we hung out. We went somewhere. I can't remember where, but it was fun. So we had like an orientation thing going down here. I had to do that with the ministry I co-lead. And then just hung out with the family, some friends as well. Played some 2K. So yeah, man, it's just been good. He said, "Where have I? Nah, where you?" Yeah, we've been here, RC. We've been here, man. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with the no-Ds, but we've definitely been here. We're 47 episodes in, crazily enough. So maybe we'll pop you on here soon since we're getting close to 50, which is crazy.
Almost at a year.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, that was my weekend. Pretty chill. No Eagles, so they were undefeated. So I didn't have to go through all that football stress this week.
Hey, I had a great football week. That's all I can say. It was very nice to watch the G-men get a win. So Now we got to watch him against Joe Burrow on Sunday Night Football, which I don't know if will be as much fun. But
an angry Joe Burrow too.
I know. I was hoping they were going to win. I was pulling for them towards the end of that game. I was like, God, if they lose, they're going to be pissed. If they win, maybe we'll be able to sneak one by. But anyway, let's get talking. It is late. We came on a little bit late because I wanted to watch the crazy inning that was the Mets and the Phillies. Juju Watkins signs one of the richest deals in basketball with Nike. I mean, happy for her.
You want to start?
Yeah. Happy for her. She's an incredible player. This will do great things. Interesting to me that she still has a few more years in college. Am I right on that? At least 2, right? So interesting that they wouldn't have chosen, some other players that maybe were coming out this year. But I'm sure they have their reasons, and I'm super happy for her. It's always good when these college kids that are working their butts off get paid, specifically the women basketball that aren't going to be making that same kind of money when they graduate and go to the league. So good for her, good for Juju, good for her NIL deals. The shoes are good. I'm sure the shoes are going to be really cool and really great. Go out there and support her if you can. If you play basketball or if you just like some sweet Nike kicks, go get them. And, I don't really know exactly how it works, if she's just promoting them and they're her shoe, or if she gets money per, purchase. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure as more details come out, we will figure all of that out. But again, like we've talked about this as it comes before, you hear about a lot of the male athletes, specifically basketball players, getting their own shoes. And I think that it's always fun when young girls can look up to an athlete and be like, oh, I want to be like her. I want to dress like her, and be able to find her shoes out there, which is really great. Again, I'm happy for her. And I'm not really, there's not really much more to say on that. I know Kylan had to step out for a second, but we're going to move on. I don't have the power to change the fun little topic bar at the bottom. So that is a Kylan job when he gets back. But the biggest news in sports probably in the last 24 hours is the firing of Robert Saleh from the New York Jets organization. I think there's been a lot of rumors kind of going around back and forth. My personal opinion is that he should not have been fired right then and there. I don't understand the firing. I would have understood if Nathaniel Hackett was fired, who is the offensive coordinator, if you don't really know or follow the Jets. Robert Saleh is a defensive coach. The defense hasn't looked bad. Nathaniel Hackett is the play caller for the offense, and he's one calling the plays. So I don't understand why he was not the one that was fired. The rumors are, and everything is conjecture. I know Aaron Rodgers went on his favorite show, my least favorite show, the Pat McAfee show, to talk about all of this.
The favorite propaganda show.
He said that all of this is untrue, blah, 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 whatever. The rumors that are going around is that Robert Saleh, it came out that he was going to either fire Nathaniel Hackett or at least take play calling abilities away from Nathaniel Hackett, which is pretty big, to take play calling as a defensive coach, take play calling abilities away from your offensive coordinator.
He wasn't wrong. They have looked terrible.
No. But if you don't know Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers are very good friends, they're very close. They're literally the only reason that Nathaniel Hackett is in the Jets organization is because of Aaron Rodgers. People think that Hackett found out, called Aaron Rodgers, and this infamous phone call with him and Woody Johnson, that supposedly they talked the night before he got fired, but they didn't mention Saleh at all. I don't think anybody in their right mind believes that. And you know what? If it is, cool. But why my thing is, why even bring it up? Why even offer that to the public?
Well, he had to say something. I mean, Adam Schefter was like, yeah, like there was a phone call. I mean, what was the report that Schefter said?
I think that came out after. I think Woody Johnson willingly told all of this. I mean, yeah. we talk about this a lot. We talk about people needing media training. I think that in years to come, Woody Johnson's press conference is going to be studied in PR schools as what not to do during a PR conference. So many things he said in there were so stupid and backwards. The way he spoke to Hassan Reddick, I'm not saying what Hassan Reddick is doing is correct either, but the way he spoke to him like he was a child and like all of this had to do with Salah and that he was going to get a deal, blah, blah, like stupid.
I think that's why I was seeing his name earlier, that they were like, he's the football's version of Donald Sterling, but richer.
Yeah, he's just like political. He is running an organization into the ground, and it is true. On paper, the Jets organization is great. The Jets organization is a right now, the Jets organization or the Jets team is one of the best Jets teams they've had in a while. On paper, they should be Super Bowl contenders. Are they? No, because they're run so poorly. You know, and we've never seen a situation where a quarterback has run a team and it's gone well. You know, I was listening to something today and they were joking around that they should have just made Aaron Rodgers the head coach and just been like, he's doing it anyway.
And the GM.
Yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. You know, the Jets fired him. And again, it's one of those things where I feel like this topic has been talked to death. I think the next segment is probably more of an interesting one where do we think Salah is going to end up? I genuinely don't know. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that are looking for good defensive coordinators. I do not think he's going to get another head coach job, at least not right away, which I think is fine. I do think he will get a defensive coordinating job. I just don't know where. Right now, I can't really think of any defenses that are like, I mean, maybe the Bengals. The Bengals defense has been struggling a little bit. But I don't think he's going to get another head coaching job.
Yeah, I think his future is being a defensive consultant for the Eagles, just because apparently him and Nick Sirianni are close. And I feel like Nick needs all the help he can get. So you know, I am of the mindset that seems like Robert Saleh got Game of Thrones, to reference a show that I love. I know most of y'all love. He got Game of Thrones by Aaron Rodgers. You know, I think this is Aaron Rodgers. Like, he couldn't do it in Green Bay, so he's doing it with an even worse organization. For somebody that's only won one ring in his life, Aaron Rodgers wields a lot of power for somebody that hit the lottery once in his life. And hasn't done anything relevant since then, right? So
yeah, you all know he's one of my least favorite. He's probably my least favorite person in the NFL. One of my least favorite athletes on the face of the planet. So
I respect Aaron. So just to legally protect ourselves here, all opinions are the individuals representing the podcast and don't necessarily reflect the Sports Hour Plus with Bill Aaron Watson.
Yeah, no, I have very little respect for him, and that's fine. It's more of a personal thing than a professional thing. I just
we know,
and that's fine. You know,
we know he's not the first NFL quarterback that played for the Green Bay Packers that's Sue happy. So
yeah, that's true. But hey, it's free speech. I'm allowed to say that I don't like you, Aaron Rodgers. But that's fine.
No. And I agree. I said, like, when I was getting my haircut today, I said Aaron Rodgers is the only person that we know whose family hates him. And only the dog likes him. Like,
yeah. So,
like, you know, but
I think this topic has been kind of talked to death a little bit. I think that's kind of our insight on it. Did you want to go back and talk about Juju? Yes. I talked a lot about you. More than welcome to put your 2 cents in.
Yeah, Juju, this is great for her. You know, it's good to see players get money, you know, especially somebody at USC basketball. You know, it's good that she is a star. You know, like you said, she can't come out until her senior year because of that dumb rule. That women's players need to stay in for 4 years. Got to protect those vets. You know, I'm happy for her. I'm happy that, you know, we're waiting on some details about why this is so lucrative. But that's great for her. She is the new face of college basketball, probably the future face of basketball itself. So especially as more famous players that that are currently in Nike, like KD, LeBron, obviously Tatum and Luka will still be around, but this is about to be faces of basketball are probably about to be more known women than men in a minute, with all the more familiar, larger than life personas basically either retiring or going into old age, whatever comes first for LeBron and KD. But I am of the mindset that this is great for Juju, great for USC, great for the fact that players can get money now, and I am of the mindset that this is great for her. Again, we don't really have, even I know Morgan's probably still looking for it as we speak. We don't really have much details on this just because it's a college
I was saying I'm not exactly sure if it's just a monetary thing, if she gets a percentage of the sales. That's what I said. I'm sure those details will all come out in the next
probably both
few weeks. Yeah, so that's kind of what I said. I said go and I thought there was going to be a grand slam for Juan Soto.
Yeah, but yeah, so this is great for her, great for women's basketball. Again, that's the future face of the WNBA, right along with Paige and Caitlin. So great. Keep watch for her, y'all. She's up and coming. Well, she's not even up and coming. She's coming. like she is coming. So moving right along, the NFL Players Association and other news, this all goes together, y'all. Like there's been a lot of politicking with these players associations lately, but the NFL Players Association wants interviews to be done outside of the locker room. For those of you that may have seen this statement on Twitter, they basically came out and said, it's kind of dehumanizing for the players and lottie dottie dottie, all the stuff. For those of us that have ever done locker room interviews, whether that be in college,
I was gonna say, I don't know how many people that are listening to this have ever been in an open locker room and done locker room interviews. They're really weird. It's really weird. And especially for a female going into a male's locker room, and I just and again, it's nothing against the players, against the reporters. It's not that anybody is doing anything weird or malicious, or it's just the vulnerable place is a locker room. In my opinion, at any level, there has to be some kind of safe, sacred place for these players. Like you should be able to go into the locker room and put your head in your locker and scream and say, fuck, or whatever you want to say. And you should also be able to change your clothes. That's what a locker room is for. You shouldn't be bombarded by cameras. Now, I'm not saying that at the very end of the game when everybody comes in and the camera crew, if it's CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN, whatever, is doing the game, they'll come in, they get the coach speaking, whatever, and then the camera leaves, and then it's a locker room. It turns into a locker room where the guys can talk to each other, can change, can take showers. Imagine if cameras were allowed. It's the main thing in every gym locker room ever. Cameras aren't allowed. You go into a gym and you see everywhere. I think that's a great idea. I think that the juxtaposition, the NFL Players Association then is going to have to be more strict on the players that are requested to do mandatory media. I think that then players are going to have to do mandatory media. I know that they already do, but I just think that getting rid of open locker rooms is fine. You don't get anything great. The sound quality is generally terrible.
Right.
It's just I don't see any plus of still having it.
Noise, them talking, them having fun with each other, which is great. But if you're in our profession, not really, because you got to mute that in editing.
And you're not going to miss anything anymore. Half of these players are Gen Z. They have their phones out all the time. They're recording everything. You'll get to see what they want you to see. You'll still get to see the fun stuff. You'll get to see the dancing, whatever you want in the locker room. You just aren't going to get to interview players with other players in their underwear behind you, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I am on the mindset of somebody that's also done them in an NFL training camp all over, right? At internships and stuff. I think I like the high school. Now again, this is Central New York, so I don't want to assume that every high school that there's no locker room stuff in high schools either. But I know that when I interned, shout out, WSYR in Syracuse, Stephen Fonte and them, love them. Shouts out forever. Super sports intern there. Did that. There was a high school thing. Every time we wanted to interview an athlete, We did, the SID or whoever would go back, get the athlete, bring them out in their uniform or whatever, and we get to interview them. But we had to request it, obviously, before the game was over. I'm sure that's how I know that's not how colleges do it, but I am of the mindset that maybe something like that should happen when you get to request the athlete, or they do it in the press room. And again, obviously, this open locker room thing is left from a bygone era of journalism where people used to smoke and they got to go in there, smoke, drink. You were having drinks with the players. It was the bygone era before ethics, I guess, in journalism, right? That this is left over from that, and I hear old sports journalists now saying, "Well, that's how I got the best stories ever. That was when I had my top hat and my press pass back when it was written." So just to belay this, as younger journalists, I think it's kind of weird anyway. I did it at an Eagles training camp when I was interning at NBC Sports Philly. Being there is great. You get to be amongst the atmosphere. But at the end of the day, it's just a locker room. Nothing's really getting accomplished. The popular players are the popular players. Obviously, everybody gathers around. At that point, when I was there, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, insert football player here. It is kind of dehumanizing when you think about it. But I just am on the mindset, kind of like Morgan, that either you request the players ahead of time, maybe you get something later. But yeah, the interview, the in-game interview, even though as journalists, to be honest with y'all, it's useless. But we do need to do it for those sports blocks when anchors do it, for Sports Center and all the other shows that you guys consume 24/7. It does need to happen. So, but maybe that could take place outside or after the shower, after the debrief, after that. I'm of that mindset. Also, I think it's kind of funny that the Players Association with the least power in the major four sports is doing this. It's not a problem. Apparently, I guess it's manageable in basketball, baseball, and hockey, but not so much in football, which I understand because there's only like 17, 18 games. People don't really like, seeing all these journalists, I guess, in their locker room after a loss, which is understandable. So yeah, I think I am of the mindset that interviews can be done outside the locker room. That there really is no purpose, as Morgan said, for that post game interview as much anymore. But I'm sure that when we get more into it, that we might be able to figure that out. But moving right along, should interviews be done in the press room, locker room, or somewhere else? To me, I think it should be done in the press room somewhere else, or obviously, because this has got Christine Brennan in trouble, and we'll get into that in a minute. But maybe I'll just need to come to the side. I mean, this is in comparison, these first few topics, because after this it gets a little bit more serious, are the more, for lack of a better term, fun topics, because it's about to take a turn in a minute, y'all. Because some of these football players been acting a fool, for lack of a better term, this week. So, I'm on the mindset that they can be done somewhere else. Doesn't necessarily have to be a locker room, but somewhere where the journalists, the team, and whoever can mutually agree to be somewhere where the player feels a little bit more comfortable, and then the locker room, it's not comfortable. It's better after they win, but it's not comfortable, I think, for the players. And I think that more of them are voicing that. I think that's great. Morgan?
Yeah, I think press room, somewhere else. I just don't like the locker room. I just don't like it. I mean, maybe the only thing I guess you could say,
RC disagrees.
Maybe you go in and be like, everybody good, everybody changed, everybody showered, and then you can let press in. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Or, you say you have 10 minutes, go talk to the players, and then kick everybody out, and then people start changing, showering, stuff like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think those are both, if you feel the need to keep them in the locker room, then those are both ways to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that people feel, again, like RC is voicing the public's opinion, so I guess they like the locker room and all that ambiance you get, which is true. You do get all that ambiance, and it does help people understand what goes on in the locker room. But as people that actually have done it, it is kind of weird or awkward, especially if you wind up stepping on a logo. So it's a whole thing. But I'm on the mindset that as long as the stories are good, as long as the access is still there, I don't think it needs to take place at the locker room. Obviously, some in the public who will hear this now and later might disagree with us, and I'm sure we will hear from that at Kyler W. Watson, at M_D_Miller. If y'all feel like y'all love the locker room interviews. Again, locker room interviews are fun, a little awkward, but they're fun most of the time, depending on the player. It's only not fun when they lose, and then they have to look at you, and you can just see like how angry they are that they have to do the interview. But that's where I'm at with it. But moving right along, I told y'all this takes a turn. Hard left here. The University of Georgia wide receiver Kobe Young was arrested for a misdemeanor assault and battery charge of an unborn child, according to ESPN and a bunch of other media outlets. So for those of you that are still trying to figure out what the heck does this mean, because Georgia law is a is a read. This basically means he assaulted his baby mama and put the unborn child in danger. This is basically a lawyer way of saying that. For those of you that don't understand, couldn't get it by unborn child. He beat the crap, for lack of a better term. Allegedly, he beat the crap out of his baby mama and put the unborn child in danger. Now, this is a player, Kobe Young, who transferred from the University of Miami, and it now goes to UGA. And again, that's not a reflection of the University of Miami. This is just facts. And so, Morgan, I'm going to let you start here. Your reaction to this.
There needs to be a full-blown investigation on Georgia football. I feel like every other week we hear stories, reckless driving, drunk driving, assault, battery. There's just so much that happens down there at the University of Georgia. And I understand you want to win, and that's fine. But this kid, it's a pattern of violence down there, and it's not good. And I would not send my kid to school there or my child to play football there, because I don't want my kid to end up doing something stupid like this, or being the victim of something like this. What is there to say? Like, he's a piece of crap person. I mean, who does that? I don't really know what else to say. I hope he never plays another snap of football again. I'm sure he will, but I wish he doesn't. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like this is a pattern, not just with Georgia football, but just football players in general, right? Like, not all of them, obviously, but we see a lot of domestic stuff with football players. Rashee Rice, Ray Rice, Kobe Young now. Morgan brought up that this is very much a pattern. To defend UGA a little bit, I am watching this according to, and again, the source here. Some of y'all gonna groan when I say this, but the source here is Outkick. So I roll for a lot of y'all, but they are reporting that UGA has suspended him, which obviously is the bare minimum. But he has been suspended. So I know somebody's gonna ask that. Has he been suspended, Morgan and Kyler? Yes, he has. Again, but it's Outkick. So I know some of y'all are gonna be like, but it's Outkick. So we'll wait to confirm. But ESPN is also saying he's been suspended. So there you go. So he's been suspended. Again, man, I just want to say this, whether you're a football player or not, there is nothing that a woman can say or do that would make you, do this. I understand, right? Things happen, especially in relationships. But again, nobody should lay hands on a woman, especially a woman that's pregnant. And putting your unborn child in danger, so much so that now you done messed up your second chance being at the University of Georgia, coming from the University of Miami, and now you in jail, and you just basically ruined your future because you got angry over something that she did, probably because she was pregnant and having the cravings and all the stuff that comes with pregnancy. Having never experienced it, I have heard from a lot of my friends that this is something that happens, and I've seen it myself. And family and friends that have been pregnant. So, I know that stuff happens, but like, there's nothing, I repeat, guys, nothing that they can do that should make you do this and end up, especially in a state like Georgia, end up in jail, having people like Morgan and I reading this, and some of y'all looking at this like, so he put the unborn child. Because when I initially read this, when they were reporting it, I was like, this makes it seem like he like went in there and beat up the child in her uterus. Like, what is this? So I have to read more stuff into it to understand that obviously he beat the crap out of his girlfriend and put the child in danger. Which some states do this when you beat up somebody and they're pregnant. They charge you for not only beating up the woman, but beating up your unborn child. So they put like a double charge on you. And Georgia apparently is one of these states. So, I am of the mindset that, again, just PSA for all the men out there and women. There's nothing that your mate, your spouse, whatever, should do that makes you lay hands on them, right? And that goes both ways. Specifically, this is a man case, but this happens more with men doing women than the other way around. It does happen. I don't want to minimize males who have survived DV because it does happen. But I am of the mindset that there's nothing that she did, that should have made you do this, Kobe. So like now you're in jail. Now we're talking about you. Now, once again, as Morgan so eloquently put it, it's a pattern with Georgia. Obviously, we had the Speedy thing that with Jalen Carter and other football players that ended the life of one of his teammates and his.
There have been numerous drunk driving arrests this year as well, coming from the University of Georgia. Yeah, so moving on, I think we kind of answered this. Is his college career the same? I think his college career is over. I think we've said this. We hope his football career. I hope his football career is over. And he's about to face some real life consequences for his actions that are going to be taken outside of the University of Georgia. And he's going to get a real world is going to smack him in the face real quick.
Yep.
All right. So moving on to something we talked about last week. So according to SBJ, Judge Claudia Wilkin gives preliminary approval for the House versus NCAA settlement. Carolyn, you want to talk on that?
Sure. So, for those of you that know, we've been covering this last few months. We knew this was coming. Obviously, there were some things here because Judge Wilkin basically said that they can't deny schools from getting boosters and other support and basically directly paying the athletes. And see, the NCAA tried to get around it and obviously did it satisfactory for Judge Wilkin. So what does this mean in the immediate term for y'all? Basically a salary cap. Morgan and I talked about this a few weeks ago with some of the Penn State soccer players from Philly suburbs who have and other suburbs around PA and around who have found out now because in anticipation of this that they're cutting soccer players, they're cutting, for lack of a better term, the sports that don't generate revenue. They're losing players, losing scholarships. These players are kind of in the lurch now, kind of screwed over. But this is what's happening, and it's very unfortunate. But this is what happened. This is the NCAA, as Morgan has so eloquently put it in previous times when we talked about this, trying to stave off being eliminated, but they're just basically like delaying the inevitable here. And this is, I guess, good if you're a college sports purist because now you've got something, right? You've got a salary cap, I guess, for lack of a better term. But, I'm of the mindset that this is good for the schools. I think bad for the players. And again, I ultimately think that there will be a union. But moving right along, unless Morgan has anything to add to the more interesting part of this question. Has college sports now been changed forever? Yes, because here's why, right? As I've said, and as Morgan has said, as many people who have reported on this, watched this, the NCAA is basically in a death march, right? The NCAA is basically doing what, and this is no knock to my current employer at all, but basically doing what a lot of these print companies are doing, trying to stave off elimination, right? So you're trying to stave off where the headwinds are going, right? You're the bass swimming upstream with the hungry black or brown bear coming for you and just waiting for you to jump into its mouth. That's basically what the NCAA is doing. They're trying to swim upstream against this current that's coming for them, which will eventually end up in another 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Mark this down, 8:45 Eastern time. Colin William Watson documenting it now. In 2028, there will be an NCAA players union. And the NCAA will basically be eliminated because there will be no reason to have a body now that you have a players union. And, you know, I was just recently at a Syracuse event with Jim Boeheim, and he was talking about this too, that there needs to be some regulation, and there will come regulation. It'll just be state by state by state, you know. And again, no political stuff here, but, you know, in some cases, as far as the sports thing, this is where state by state things should happen. It's not always a good thing in other things that are currently happening in our political climate. This is an example where state by state thing may work out. But eventually, the NCAA will no longer have a say over this. So yes, college sports has been changed forever. But just for you purists, it's always been like this. You may have wanted to put your head in the sand and deny it, but nobody again was going to State College, Pennsylvania, really University Park, Pennsylvania, for their health. Nobody was going to Syracuse, New York, without getting some money, right? Nobody is going to, where's James Madison? Some random part of Virginia.
Harrisonburg.
To go play sports at James Madison for free. Nobody was doing that. So let's just be real here. Like, maybe people were going to the University of Miami for their health, but like nobody else was going to these schools and these random places in the middle of nowhere for their health. So college sports has always been like this. It's just more transparent now, and you know, it's good. It's changed forever. So they should have like the rights that Morgan and I have and everybody else has. Like I said last week, nobody shows up to these places for free, so they have a right to get paid. They have a right to make money off of their likeness. Morgan?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on
to the other part of this. Christine.
So Sarah Spain's now reported that Christine Brennan spoke to the WNBA PR about the interaction she had with DeWanna Bonner. I don't know. This is getting so messy. I can't even really follow it anymore. I don't know. Kylan, what do you think about this?
So it feels like to me that we are witnessing something that will be very close to Morgan's heart, having grown up in DC. We are witnessing a sports spin cycle in real time. Because at first, before the WNBPA called her out, I believe, right? I don't know Christine Brennan personally. Again, personal journalism, Shiro on mine. But I believe that, you know, she thought that randomly asking these Caitlin Clark questions, she got away with it, or like everything was fine. But clearly it was not, because we don't know when this DeWanna Bonner thing happened. Apparently it must have happened like at least a month ago, maybe longer than that. But, you know, I don't think she ever thought that this would come to light. And of course it has. And it does not look good for a lot of people's journalism, Shiro. Mine's included. And like Morgan said, it feels like I've tweeted this when I heard about it from Sarah Spain, right? Like, this is an award-winning journalist who had sources reach out to her, right? She just did it, to give y'all context, right? Based off of the strip of what Morgan and I were reporting, and what basically off the reporting that we had heard last week. What happened is this week, Sarah Spain and Christine Brennan did a podcast together on Sarah Spain's podcast. She kind of explained herself, not really adequately. But yeah, and so then after that podcast aired, everybody was like, see, she was doing bias questions. She didn't really have a good thing. So Christine going on this podcast didn't really help her. And then Sarah Spain, two sources reached out based off, I guess they didn't hear what they wanted to hear, which I guess was some contrition, you know. So they reached out to Sarah, said, hey, she put a complaint in. Obviously, Christine got really upset about this because she said she did not put a complaint in. So basically what Sarah found out through clarification where her sources was, and it's semantics here, she basically just put a call in, right, to WNBA PR, and that's all she did. Didn't try to get DeWanna suspended or anything else. So to her, right, and again, this is all semantics. I'm not Christine Brennan. We don't have the other side here because I don't think DeWanna even is going to respond to this, but we don't know yet. She might. But, you know, I am of the mindset that that we are witnessing in real time a sports spin that's not working. I think the USA Today tried to do this last week by saying, you know, we can do what we want to do, and the WNBA is saying, no, you can't. And again, this goes back to what I said, right? Mainstream sports media is not adequately prepared to cover women's sports being mainstream correctly, right? I said that the biases always show up, especially in reporters of the other hue, especially when they're dealing with a superstar who is white. And we are seeing this in real time in all aspects, that people are just not able to handle hard basketball being played against somebody who they like, who's not black. So this is what's happening. Like, a lot of people, Christine Brennan rubbed them the wrong way, including myself, when she was basically openly campaigning for Caitlin Clark to be on the Olympics team, basically saying that she brings ratings to something that's a ratings juggernaut, as Morgan can attest to, seeing that she worked it. But like it's a whole thing, and so I think that in real time we are witnessing something that I know my DC folks will really understand: a sports spin cycle, like something. When a politician is in a hole and so they dig deeper and deeper and deeper until they can't get themselves out. This is what Christine Brennan is doing. Morgan?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get the full story about what actually happened. People are doing more. I know that Sarah Spain has said that she's kind of done talking about it. She wants to go back to talking about the players and the players that are still playing, and doesn't really want to, continue to talk about all this nonsense, kind of, is what she said. She wants to get back to talking about the playoffs and not talking about the people who are reporting about the playoffs. I agree. I'm sick of this story.
But I don't know if the WNBPA is going to let it go. That's the problem. I think you know what I mean.
Then wait until the playoffs are over. It's a distraction from what's really supposed to be happening, and that's very talented women playing high-level basketball. It's a great championship. The Lynx Liberty, it's an absolute just absolute shootout. I wish that was what everybody was talking about and not this story. Should she have her credential revoked? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know. Probably not. I think to some standard, this is a misunderstanding-ish. It's he said, she said. I mean, obviously the WBA, PA, whatever, would know better than we would if a complaint was made versus this versus that. I mean, it would have been made to them, I assume. So they would have more information than we do. I'll respect their decision no matter what way it goes. But again, I think all of this should be not being handled right now. Just push it aside until after the championship is done, because that's what people should be talking about.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think that, again, I feel like, Christine is a victim of being a little too loud her stuff. And I think this is, reaping what you sow, right? Do I think that she should have her media credential revoked? Probably not. But I also think that she needs to have something happen. Now, I don't know if that's a media credential revoking. We obviously know that USA Today, because there's nothing that Morgan and I understand better than media politics within media organizations. So we know that USA Today will not do anything to her, even though this, I feel, is putting their credibility in jeopardy as well. I feel like they have to set an example, I think, and I hate saying it like this, but they have to set an example, I think, that you can't basically use media time, because basically this is the ultimate thing that they're getting her for, is basically using her time with players to talk about Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark is not the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad form for sure, but it's not like it's. I don't know. I feel like at worst it's bad form. Would be my opinion from the information that we know right now.
Yeah.
So moving on, we got a lot of topics to hit, and we are almost already at an hour. So what we should be talking about, the Las Vegas Aces fall to the New York Liberty. I mean, just absolutely two dominating teams this season. I think at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of the series, you could have said it would have gone either way. Happy for the Liberty. The Liberty has kind of, for better or for worse, I guess, kind of become like America's team almost this year, as everyone loves Ellie, the mascot, and they're having a lot of fun. They look great, and I think that the Aces sometimes can fall to the problem of relying too much on A'ja, and as much of an amazing, wonderful MVP athlete that she is, it's a team sport, and one person can't win games for you.
Yeah, I am of the mindset that that this was a great series. Unfortunately, some Christine Brennan and all this stuff with the WNBPA as well has taken away from it. But I feel like these were two great series, especially this one. The New York Liberty finally got their revenge from last year. Obviously, the Aces will not be going back to back to back, but there's no shame in that. We'll get to this in a minute. But I think the Liberty, this is kind of what happened in the NBA around when the Minnesota Timberwolves, they really wanted to beat the Denver Nuggets, and they did it. And when they did it, you kind of felt like they spent a lot of energy and it wound up backbiting them. Now the Liberty and Aces didn't go 7 games, but I am of the mindset that that this has the potential to either be a galvanizing victory that takes you to a championship, or be the thing that destroys you later on. It winds up being, for my literary people, a Pyrrhic victory, right? Where you do everything to burn it down, you do everything to win, and you kind of burn yourself out, right? I am of the mindset that the Liberty, this Liberty Link series that's coming up, and we'll get to it, should be a really great series, but I don't know if the Liberty will be up for it, because I feel like they spent a lot of energy here trying to beat the Aces, and probably should have done it 2 games sooner, but it took them what was it, 6 games to do it, or 5, and I am of the mindset that this was a great series, good for the Liberty, unfortunate for the Aces. But I feel like for the Aces, we just kind of kept waiting for them to hit that switch, besides like the whole team going up instead of just A'ja Wilson. And we kind of just were ignoring what we were seeing in our face, which was that they're really relying on A'ja Wilson, and there's not really anything that helps them out. So I think the Aces got to reload now around A'ja Wilson. But I am of the mindset that the Liberty should, and Morgan knows how much of a Lynx person I am. But when we get to it, I'll make my prediction. But I feel like the Liberty on paper should beat the Lynx, but Napheesa Collier and them just won't go down. So we'll move right along to this. This fall. Oh, did you talked this, right, or no?
I kind of talked with this. I mean, she had an unbelievable MVP deserving season. It doesn't.
Well, I was talking about this. Did you talk about this?
Oh, yeah, I already talked about this, yeah.
Okay, good. All right,
yeah, I don't think this does anything to, it's really, really hard to three-peat. We've seen it. It's almost impossible. So, New York, RC's right. New York was looking for revenge. They wanted it bad, and I'm glad they got it. It's been fun couple days for New York people around the area. Just watch the Mets win, and they'll be in the NCLS championship. Watching the Yankees, it's tied 2-2 at the top of the 6th, trying to make something happen. I think that no. Short answer is no, and I don't think there would be any way that it could, unless she completely fell apart in the playoffs, which she didn't.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in agreement. Like, this is a no, but you gotta say it, because I know there's some people online saying it. But A'ja Wilson had a historic season, and it doesn't negate. She showed up. It just wasn't. The team just wasn't good enough, and sometimes that happens. But we're moving right along to the other half of this. The Minnesota Lynx beat the Connecticut Sun. Napheesa Collier comes back to the state of Connecticut and whoops up on Morgan's Connecticut Sun. Morgan, what, you got an explanation?
I think that this is so similar to the series that we just talked about. The Sun didn't have it. They did not have it. From that first game, they looked flat. They looked dead. They when they got down, there wasn't. It was by 15, 16. They couldn't get back. There was just no. It didn't look good. They couldn't get back, and I think that was a struggle, and the Lynx deserved it. The Lynx outplayed them on every aspect of the one game that they dropped to the Sun, they still looked fantastic.
Well, all I got to say in this is Napheesa Collier came home and whooped up on the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah.
Basically told Morgan, "Why are you not talking about me?" I keep telling you. I kept telling you need to talk about Napheesa
She's a
Collier.
beast. She's an absolute beast out there. And I'm excited to see her play in the championship.
Yeah, like I kept trying to tell her, like the Lynx are coming. They made me look like, you know, I might as well just change my name to Minnesota, because my home state, because I be boosting these teams better than the people that live there boost their teams. So the Minnesota Lynx, I mean, Napheesa Collier, what is there to say? DPOY in the WNBA, great scorer, like, you know, but she is not just her, the whole team, the coach, like the whole team, like the Lynx at this point, we should just be asking, are the Lynx back? Like, I don't know if they'll beat the New York Liberty, but, you know, I think that, you know, the Lynx are a really good team, and that's one thing that can beat, you know, the Liberty is a really good team.
Yeah.
And, you know, I am of the mindset that is where we at. But, you know, to move right along to a certain question, were people sleeping on the Lynx, Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if people were sleeping on the Lynx. I just think that it was 4 really solid teams. You know, I don't necessarily think that I was saying they weren't a good team. I was just saying I thought that the Connecticut Sun were going to win, and they're my home team town. Kylan, you don't ever tell me that you don't put a little extra zest. I mean, hell, we're doing a preview of the Cleveland Browns-Eagles game for no reason other than you want to talk about the Eagles. So,
it's not. I'm not. Look, I'm not taking a shot at you with this question. I'm just asking it generally. Okay, I'm not taking a shot at you by asking this. You were not the only one sleeping on the Lynx. Like, I'm not saying that.
I do think that I would have guessed that the money line, that the money was on
Connecticut. It was. Connecticut. They were the better team.
So I will say that yes, people probably were downing them. But again, I'm happy for them. RC, you know, I think probably Sabrina probably would need, you know that's surprising that she doesn't have one. You know, I don't know if it's she just is such a big name. She does the stuff with Steph, blah blah blah. Yeah, you know.
You see.
Hey, my first team is the Mystics. My first team is the Mystics, but they have been basketball. Just apparently, the DMV apparently, which is bizarre. First, let's just talk about it for a hot second. The DMV produces some of the best basketball players ever. When you look at college basketball and around, somehow DC at Capital One Center, you know, can't play basketball. They just forget how to play basketball when DC people get into that situation. So, yeah, I think people probably were, but I think Kylan's right, and we'll move right into the preview of this game. I think that the Lynx have a better shot in, you know, I think that the Liberty have a lot of momentum. They have a lot of energy, a lot of fan power behind them, whereas the Lynx probably have a better team as in a technical standpoint, and their battle wasn't as hard fought, I think, as the Liberty. Yeah, kind of what we were saying. The Liberty put a lot of energy into that series. They wanted to beat the Aces really bad. So I think they're probably a little bit more drained coming into this finals than the Lynx are.
Yeah, I am of the mindset that I agree with that. That, again, on paper, the Liberty should win, but these games are never played on paper. And, you know, I think that Cheryl Reeve has shown she can develop a game plan to really beat up on whatever team they're beating up on. Now, you will never stop. It's about to be Connecticut on Connecticut crime here with Napheesa and Stewie. But, you know, I think at this point, the X factors here are like, you know, who's going to show up outside of the big, you know, big 2, big 3 that we know of, right? Napheesa, Stewie, Sabrina, you know, and I think the Lynx can win. I think this has the potential to go 7 games. You know, I am of the mindset that it probably should be Liberty in 6, But, for some reason, I just can't quit my links. I've been boosting them all this time, as Morgan knows. I was one of the few people saying it. So I just think I got to say links and 6. And it's not just because I hate seeing these New York teams being so great lately, even though I know it's going to end in disappointment for all of y'all. But I am of the mindset that, I got to say links and 6, even though of all the New York teams, I got to say the Liberty are the more likable of all of the New York teams, because I'm from Philly. I can't give New York too much credit. So I am of the mindset that it should be Liberty and 6, but for some reason I just think Nafisa got a masterpiece, so it'll be Lynx and 6.
Yeah,
Morgan.
I mean, I'm gonna go with the Liberty. Honestly, if you're betting on the WNBA, go with the Lynx, because I think the Liberty are gonna win, and I think I've called every series wrong this entire playoffs. So I would maybe go with what Kylan's saying on this one. Let's move on to
what you want to talk about. You were talking about this off air. Baltimore Ravens beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I can start on this because I know Morgan has a lot to say here. Yeah. When Lamar Jackson is slinging that ball like this, I don't think I've ever seen. I think that we have seen, right? We've seen that most of these quarterbacks, especially the more high-profile ones, have struggled in their new offenses. And it seems like, at least in that game, it seemed like a switch was unlocked, because the way Lamar Jackson was destroying the Bengals defense made me think, are the Bengals just this bad at defense, or is Lamar Jackson just really this good when he has a clean pocket that could just
I think that
live into these folks?
The Bengals defense is really struggling this year, which is why the Bengals was a landing spot that I kind of had for Salah, because, I mean, they are struggling. They are struggling, especially against the run. I think they're really, and it's hard to play a team when your defense is struggling against the run, and Derrick Henry is the run. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are the two threats on the other side. But I love the Ravens as a team. I get, this is kind of going into the second question, but I just don't trust them. They're up there with the Dallas Cowboys with me. I just don't trust them. I wish I did. I have a lot of friends that are Ravens fans. No. The answer to this question, if you just take it at face value, is no. No one can stop Lamar if he's throwing the ball like that, and with Derrick Henry running the ball like that. To be honest with you, I don't think anyone can stop them. However, I don't trust that this is going to last all season.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's old. Lamar is a running quarterback. So I don't, you never think the injuries are going to happen, but it seems that something like this always happens to the Ravens. And I wish I could trust them to play like this the entire year, because if they did, they are a Super Bowl team, of course, but I don't know. I don't really necessarily trust them.
Yeah, I'll say this, right? To be fair to the Bengals defense, right? Mark Henry. Derrick Henry didn't really get going until like the overtime. So for most of that game, like the second half,
didn't he score on like the first play of the game, the first drive of the game?
Yeah, but then he did nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, after that until overtime. So to be fair to them, right? Once Lamar Jackson kind of settled down, again, just to be fair to the Ravens, right? It is a rookie offensive line around Lamar Jackson. So a lot of them offensive struggles with the fact that his rookies need to adjust. But once they settled in, it just seemed like Lamar was comfortable. He was slinging that ball. And from what I saw, if Lamar is slinging the ball and he gets protection like that, I don't think there's any team that can stop them. I mean, I'm of the mindset that what I saw yesterday, because a couple of days ago, when, to me, the Ravens, they lost the lead. And they had every reason, especially after Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase started connecting, to quit on that game. And they didn't, right? Lamar settled in, showed why he is the defending MVP. And, to me, I just think I may have a little more faith in the Ravens than Morgan, but I'm just of the mindset that, I just don't see any reason why we won't see a repeat in the AFC of Ravens Chiefs. I don't know if the thing will be different. I don't know if I necessarily trust the Ravens to actually be able to beat God. But, I'm of the mindset, as Morgan knows, I'm the one that coined the phrase that when you face God, you better have a reason to beat him. And I just don't. I don't know if Lamar can face down God again, but he did a good job for the most part when they first played each other. So I think with Lamar, it's just about getting over the hump, right? And I think that what I saw enough to think that if the Ravens get runs like that, if the defense plays like they did against Joe Burrow, if they get that interception, they get pressure, they can go to a Super Bowl. But if he's slinging the ball like that, I've never seen Lamar look as confident as he did in that game. I've watched a lot of Lamar Jackson games. I've seen him not be confident. I don't think I've seen him as confident as I saw him throwing the ball since he left Louisville. So I think that's a good thing. I think if Todd Monken can get this Lamar Jackson to show up, for most of these games for the rest of the way, then I don't know why the Ravens can't be a 2 seed in the loaded AFC. I'm of the mindset that the only question I have, is Morgan knows, is their defense. And, they got the interception when it mattered the most, but if they're not getting turnovers, getting pressure, that's my only thing. And I think Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton just isn't enough, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So to what Morgan really wants to talk about, what's wrong with the Cleveland Browns? Morgan, y'all really
Deshaun Watson.
I just want to say that did not call it. You weren't confident. I told you last week off air they were going to get their second win, and then they just get their second win, their second and third win. I know you don't want to see this. I was on the phone with a Giants fan that was telling me basically what I told you. He wants to get Shador or Travis, and he is not a fan of of the Giants. Keep it all winning, but I think you hit the point, right? What's wrong with them is Deshaun Watson. And it's just they're falling apart. They're old, I don't think
this is what it comes down to, and there's nothing really more than that. Is that if it was any other quarterback in the league that wasn't Deshaun Watson, he would have been benched. But the Browns are embarrassed at their contract that they gave him. They paid him way too much money to have him sit on the bench, and so they're riding with him. And if they were smart, they would have him fake an injury. Or if Deshaun Watson was smart, he would fake an injury, because it's embarrassing for him. It's embarrassing for the Browns. And they're not going to win with him. I don't know if it's a combination of he's getting older. He didn't play for 2 years. There's a lot of stuff going on off the field, but doesn't matter. He's done. He's washed. And again, if it was any other player that didn't have the contract that that Deshaun Watson has, they would have been benched. Players have been benched and or fired for a lot less than what Deshaun Watson has been putting out there. So I mean that's really what it comes down to. I feel bad for Kevin Stefanski. He is in a lose-lose situation. I do not think this is his decision. I think it's coming from above.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that it's not just Deshaun. Obviously, Deshaun gets the brunt of it, but their defense isn't good outside of Myles Garrett. Like the Amari Cooper is basically looking for the Essex signs. Very, very good sign if you're a team. Hint. Who needs a reliable receiver? Amari Cooper is basically looking for the exit sign. But it's like I said, I think Cleveland, unfortunately, will probably get a blessing in the skies, even though I know Morgan has said on this podcast before, based on what Dion has said, that he would never let his son go to Cleveland. But I don't think he'll have a choice. It'll either be Cleveland or Carolina, unless the Giants start taking again. But I think what's wrong with the Cleveland Browns is they're old, and there's nothing. They have a lot of money built in old players, and this is what happens to teams that don't construct their roster well. Having said that, this might either be a blessing or a curse for the Eagles, because they get to play the Browns. And Deshaun Watson, with the way the Eagles defense is playing right now, either has the likelihood of either has the likelihood he might look like Tom Brady against the Eagles defense. So I'm of the mindset that this coming off a bye week, the Eagles usually don't lose. They're hitting the easier half of their schedule now, with I think their hardest opponent left being the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously Dallas too, but like the record wise, the two hardest opponents now I think become Bengals and what did I just say? Bengals and Steelers. So I feel like the Eagles should win this game. We've had some little roster shuffling for you Eagles fans out there. Cooper DeJean will be playing in the nickel spot instead of Avonte Maddox. I think this is a good thing. Avonte Maddox, while I like him, he's a tough guy, tough, gritty guy, very injury prone. So I think that's a good move, bringing in Cooper DeJean, who's better at nickel anyway. Obviously, it's worked for Quinyon Mitchell. He's been quietly, not even quietly, loudly, one of the best cornerbacks in this league so far. And I hope that's not a curse because I'm just saying that again, all coming off a bye week. But statistically, he's been the best cornerback that the Eagles have had. So I think that the Eagles should win this game. Again, if Nick Sirianni and them can't find a way to look better against the Browns and Morgan's Giants these next 2 weeks, then he shouldn't have a job. like this is where I'm at with it. Like, I'm not for, as Morgan knows, mid-season firings. But in this case, if you find a way to lose to the Browns and the Giants, you probably deserve to get fired.
To be fair to the Giants, I'll say this. And I know I'm a Giants fan. So this is probably, I actually think that they have a better shot at beating the Browns than they do the Giants, just because the Giants defense is so solid right now. They are getting to the quarterback. Dexter Lawrence already has 6 sacks this year. I mean, Brian Burns. Now their secondary isn't fantastic, but their defense is great. And for better or for worse, they know Saquon and they know how to stop him. They played against him for quite a bit. So, offensive wise, the Giants are the dink and dunk masterminds. They manage to do those short little tiny plays. They're not going to get you downfield, but they kind of eat up your offense on those short little plays. We'll talk about that more next week. But I think
that game next week, whichever coach loses is probably getting fired.
I don't think Daboll's getting fired. I think Daboll's job is safe. I really do. I don't think he's safe. If anything, it's not him. Their schemes are working. They should have beat the Commanders that game. They should have at least one more win in their book. If they'd had a kicker, they would have beat them. So, I think that the Browns are a better and easier team because their defense is horrendous. They should be able to they should be able to run Saquon on them, and I think the Eagles' defense is better than a lot of the defenses that the Browns have seen so far. And Deshaun looks terrible, so I think they should win. But
I think we're looking at a 30-20 game, but we'll see. My scoring has been. I haven't been off except for that Buccaneers game. So hopefully the Eagles, and they'll have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So I think these previous teams got the Eagles at a real good time when they weren't healthy. But now that Devontae and A.J. are back, it's going to be a bad time for these opponents. But we'll see. So San Francisco, because y'all 49ers fans know I couldn't let y'all breathe. But before we get here, San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle Seahawks, because we always preview these games. Low key, I'm telling you, Morgan, I've been doing well, man. Every team that I've called a fraud, that I call frauds, they lost last week, Seahawks lost. Steelers, I didn't really call the Steelers frauds. They just lost because Justin Fields didn't have a good day. Bengals lost, but the 49ers, I didn't even call. I was easy on the 49ers last week. I didn't expect them to lose to the Cardinals, Brock Purdy doing Brock Purdy things, getting intercepted on a game-winning drive with his weapons around. We've outed a Cowboys fan, Morgan. We've outed a Cowboys fan. Oh, man. Oh man, but the 49ers, they lost to the Cardinals, and I mean, what is it with these powerhouse teams losing to these teams that they have no business losing to? 49ers and the Cardinals. Obviously, they're all professionals. This is right up there with Alabama Vanderbilt, man. And we'll get to that in a few segments, but I don't know what the 49ers were doing, why it was even that close. I guess Kyler Murray was mad because he lost to his former coach. But we'll get to Morgan's hometown Commanders in a minute, frauds. But I am of the mindset that the 49ers and Seahawks, this right here is for the NFC West. I know it's early in the season, but this right here is for the NFC West. Because I think if the 49ers lose this game, there's going to be some questions coming Brock Purdy and Shanahan's way. Because even though you had injuries, you're not – I'm going to keep hammering this away for you 49ers fans. Christian McCaffrey is not coming back until next year. like they've all but basically said it now. I don't know what Morgan has heard, but to me, I think it's all but over for Christian McCaffrey. The Madden curse gets another one. But I'm just of the mindset that this is a game that the 49ers need to win. This is a game that the Seahawks don't need to win, but the 49ers need to win. Like, if there's ever a game where the 49ers need to win, this is it. Because I don't know if they come back other than being a wild card team. I think they'll still be in the playoffs, but I think this is for the NFC West right here. So the Seahawks, they've looked great, even losing they lost last week, right?
Yeah, the Giants beat them.
Yeah. The Giants beat them. Right. They lost last week. They still look good, but they lost last week. This is what happens when Geno Smith is your quarterback. But I think Geno Smith can put it because the way the 49ers defense has looked, it's not looked good. So I think that they're very injury prone. This is what happened. The Eagles went through it when they went to the Super Bowl last year, right? This is what happens when you play too much football. Injuries pile up. So I think the 49ers have to find a way to win this game. And I think the 49ers will win a 24-21 game. I think it'll be a close game, and they'll need to rely on Brock Purdy's arm, and I think Brock Purdy is better than Geno Smith. But again, this is a game where I'm happy to be wrong because Morgan knows again, and you 49ers fans know, there's nothing I love more than some 49ers slander and calling them frauds, because Morgan knows I've been calling them frauds since they blew out the Eagles and even before that. So I call them front runners, and they prove me right every time. So Morgan?
Yeah, I think the 49ers have this game. I have, again, zero faith in the Seahawks. As soon as RC says he's got the Seahawks, to be honest with you, won't be watching this game. JMU has a home game tomorrow, so I will be watching that because that sounds well more exciting than a Christian McCaffrey-less San Francisco 49ers playing one of my least favorite players, Geno Smith, in the league. So I won't be watching this game, but I do have the 49ers winning it. Probably some boring, like 14-21 or something like that. Moving on. So we're going to talk the Commanders. Are they really that good? I think that they have really great coaching and a really great quarterback, and their defense is solid. I don't know if they would beat a team like the Chiefs right now, but I do know that Jaden Daniels is proving himself to be one of the best offensive rookies in the year. I would not be surprised if he wins offensive rookie. I think MVP is a little bit crazy right now, but I think that the Commanders have every right to be happy. I don't know if they'll do anything spectacular this year, but I do think that it's a great building block for their team. And for the first time in a while, my friends down in DC has something to be happy about.
Y'all already know I previewed it last segment. Frauds. Frauds. Like, again, every team that I have called frauds wind up losing the next week. So frauds. So I feel like the Commanders, again, they look great. Jaden Daniels, it's amazing what happens when you actually have a quarterback. Nothing else has really changed with that franchise. They just have a quarterback and a better coach and an OC that actually knows what he's doing.
Kingsbury. And I don't think that you can overhype the change in ownership. I don't think you can talk about that enough.
Hey man, that's the Sixers owner. So you're giving my Sixers a compliment. So I'm for that. So that's the Sixers owner. It's amazing what happens. I know there's a bunch of people in Philly that say that's not a winning ownership group. Josh Harris doesn't know how to win. but the Sixers basically funded him being able to get the Commanders. So, I am of the mindset that Josh Harris knows how to win. He knows how to stay out the way, and that's what you want in an owner of a football team and a basketball team. Just write the checks and stay out the way. The Cowboy, Jerry Jones could learn a thing or two from that. But I feel like that's what happens. You have a quarterback and an OC that knows what he's doing. It's amazing what happens when you throw the ball to Terry McLaurin and have a QB who can run. I don't think it's looked as good in Washington since Robert Griffin III happened. And again, I know there are some Commanders / former Redskins fans that are hearing me say Robert Griffin III and are having flashbacks. I am not saying that Jane Daniels is Robert Griffin III in any way. I'm just saying y'all haven't looked this good since Robert Griffin III was playing. So,
and for what it's worth, the ownership ruined Robert Griffin III. So, if this ownership was in when RG3 had been playing, I think RG3 might still be playing.
Yeah.
So let's move on. We're going to move out of the
hold on.
NFL.
Before we do, I just want to say they are good, but they are not them. Go ahead.
We are going to move out of the NFL. We're going to move. Oh, no. So we're going to talk about the most intriguing matchups of week 6. Week 6. I think that I honestly think the Sunday night game, the Bengals versus the Giants is an intriguing game only because it's two teams that this win will kind of define, I think, how the rest of their season goes. The NFC East is still very much up for grabs at this moment. And if, the Giants are able to eke out a win, I think that will put them in a good spot going into the game against Philly. There aren't, a ton of other games that I'm extraordinarily excited for. I think that the Lions-Cowboys game will be a good game. We have some new quarterbacks starting. I am excited to watch the Patriots game. I'm excited to see how Drake May does, in quarterback. I obviously think Bills-Jets is a interesting game on Monday. Commanders-Ravens will really be the true deciding of
who runs the DMV.
It's a great game. The two fan bases are simultaneous, and I think that it's Commanders getting to 5-1 would be huge for them. I think the kind of only other interesting storyline for me is the Jaguars versus the Bears. Two quarterbacks, one overall, uncontested first overall picks. They were both thought to be generational talents. We've seen not awesome stuff from Trevor Lawrence, so it'll be interesting to see these two quarterbacks face off against each other.
To be fair, Caleb Williams has looked a lot better these last few weeks.
For sure, absolutely. I don't mean that in a slight against him at all.
Yeah. So to me, I think Commanders Ravens look great. Were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Commanders Ravens looks great. I think Packers Cardinals. I think Texans, Patriots, that has a level to be a good game. Buccaneers, Saints, I think is a good game. Eagles, Browns, just because I want to see what that offense looks like, healthy and with them trying to figure it out. Steelers, Raiders, low key. I think after Steelers should win this game, so I think the Raiders will be offloading Devontae and Max Crosby very soon. Lions, Cowboys, you hit on that already. Surprised you didn't hit Bengals, Giants, because I think this will determine.
That was the first game I talked about.
Okay, my bad. But yeah, I think Bengals are fighting for their lives. You can't be 1-5 and make the playoffs. So, I think it'll be interesting if the Bengals lose. What do they do? Because, I definitely think that they might start thinking about the draft period. If Sunday night ends with the Bengals and the Panthers having the same record, 1-5, I think the Bengals might have to make some changes. But yeah, I think those are mine. I agree with you totally. I think the 9:30 game as well looks really good. Looks really good. I think you hit on that. So I have no other opinions to offer. I think we can move right along to what we really want to talk about, which is Alabama falling to Vanderbilt. Um, um, hold on. She got a question for you.
I think that I don't know. I'm probably not the right person to ask. I don't have a lot of faith in Dak all the time, but I think he's again. I put him and Lamar in kind of the same boat. That when he's on fire and he's playing his best, he's really, really, really hard to beat. But you know, I think you guys are missing some key players on defense, and the Lions will absolutely eat that up. You know, they'll know exactly where to go. So I think it's going to be the Cowboys are going to have to play a near perfect game, I think, if they want to beat the Lions.
Yeah, I think this is a revenge game, RC. I think if I were you, if the Lions are up 21, which I fully expect 21-0 within the first quarter, I think you turn that game off because I think this is a revenge game for the Lions. I mean, we all saw that they got screwed in the playoff game, and I think this has all the makings of a revenge game for the Lions. And you know, unfortunately for Cowboys fans, you're missing Micah Parsons, so I feel like
I think DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't think is playing either.
Yeah, you have a chance. You have a chance, but I think it'll be. I'll put it to you like this: if by the first drive they don't score better than a field goal, tuck it in for the Cowboys. Like, I think you can tell a lot about the Cowboys within their first two drives. I think their first two drives are the thing. And are the Vikings frauding? Oh, I missed the Vikings. I said they were frauds, but they keep winning. I said that last week, so they're beating the streak. But you know, I have Justin Jefferson on my fantasy team, so I need him to not be a fraud. But I think the Vikings go as far as Sam Darnold will take them. And right now, he's doing great, and he's being held up by that defense. And that's really all there is to say about the Vikings, unless Morgan has something else to say about it.
I don't think they're frauds. No, I think that they're a really good team,
right.
And
right.
I think
that's right. Morgan's the Vikings truther of the two of us. She thinks they are them. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that Sam Darnold has found a place that he can play his brand of football, and I'm happy for him. All right, let's move on. Did I do that?
I don't know. I think your movement basically makes it happen.
Yeah, yep. I don't know why. It's like this.
Yeah, the balloons thing. We got to figure that out. We got to get Dan on it. I don't think they're going to happen. I think you're too tight. Oh, there they are. There they are.
All right, so Alabama falls to Vanderbilt. I am an Alabama fan. I do love Alabama. So this was sad for me. But
you got in, right?
I did. I was supposed to go there. I had my deposit down there before I got into JMU. So I was shocked. I think everybody was shocked. I think that this comes down to Alabama was in a number one glow. He caught kind of like the Super Bowl hangover, the beating Georgia hangover.
First time in like 20 in like 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of what was going on. I don't think they were prepped correctly. But I mean, I think the bigger story though is good for Vanderbilt. What an awesome win! What an awesome win for the kids. You know, the videos of them carrying the poles down, the goalposts down Broadway and throwing it in the river is awesome. I love it. I know some people probably don't. I think it's so fun. I wish I had gotten to do something like that when I was in college. Good for them. That's honestly a once in a lifetime win for a school like Vanderbilt. So good for them. Their quarterback is the real deal. He looks really good. So
yeah, I didn't watch this game. I think I was out during it, but you know, it sucks for you if you were listening to this podcast and took Morgan's advice going apple picking and doing other things last week because you missed a lot of upsets.
I know. You know what's funny though? I said that, and then I listened to some other podcasts, and I'm like, did you listen to me talk about that? Because like 2 other podcasts I heard were like, go apple picking this weekend, blah blah this, and I was like, which is so funny. It was supposed to be that, but like all of these top 10 teams lost. So
yeah, they do. Y'all were apple picking.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is great for Vanderbilt. This was their natty, for lack of a better term in football, at least, and good. Unfortunate for Colin DeBoer, but this is what happens. You get that hangover. I mean, I think this lends into the next question, which we'll get to. But yeah, Bath, Alabama. I put it on Facebook. It's great. It's great for Vandy. It sucks for Alabama because, like, I think I said Nick Saban would have never let this happen. Nick Saban would have rather killed himself than lose to Vandy in football.
I think I heard a stat that Vanderbilt scored 21 points against Alabama the entire time that Nick Saban coached there.
Wow. Yeah, that was one thing Nick Saban did not do, lose to the lesser teams in the SEC, which no knock on Vanderbilt, but they're a lesser team in the SEC. But good for them.
Everybody technically is a lesser team in the SEC than Alabama,
Yeah, good for them, good for the kids, good for the young adults, I should say, not kids, young adults. And what can you say, man? This is what college football is all about. Like, teams go down. Washington beat Michigan. Like, there's a lot of upsets. So moving right along, great for Vanderbilt. Sucks for Colin DeBoer. Can't lose to Alabama. That'll get you fired. Or can't lose to Vanderbilt. That'll get you fired. If that's a trend that keeps happening. So I don't think it's a trend, but you always have that one team that vexes you. For the current Los Angeles Chargers coach, it was Ohio State until he finally got over the hump. I'm not saying that Colin DeBoer's bane is going to be Vanderbilt, but it might be. I don't know. We don't know, but that's something that you can't do and survive in Alabama, bro. But moving right along, with all of that in tow, is there a true powerhouse team in college football this year? I can start here. Again, I said, like, outside of Georgia, I didn't think so, and then Alabama lost. I think there is a lot of parity. This might be, and Morgan knows how much I hate this sentence, a lot of parity in college football. I think this is the one year where there is, and there's not really a powerhouse team. I thought it was Georgia, then Georgia lost to Alabama. Alabama then loses to Vanderbilt. I think the only powerhouse team that I can really point to who hasn't lost yet and has looked dominant with a new OC, and some people are going to call me a homer, but it's Penn State. Like, Penn State is the only team that I've seen so far that has dominated in all phases of the game. Their quarterback looks good. And obviously this is pre-Ohio State, but Ohio State doesn't look great. I was
going to say, I don't know if they beat Ohio State.
But Ohio State doesn't look great because their quarterback is in my alma mater, Syracuse, which, by the way, congratulations to Syracuse beating UNLV in overtime. Did you see that game on Friday night? Oh my goodness. Great for my alma mater there. But, I'm of the mindset that, Georgia and Alabama were it. And I don't know. I mean, Texas is getting Quinn Ewers back. They were on a bye week, so we don't want to ignore Texas. But I think Oklahoma has something for them in the Red River Shootout. But I don't know if there's a true powerhouse team, especially because this is the first year of the 12-team playoffs, so we're going to really get to actually see that this year. But I think if a gun to my head, I guess I got to say Penn State, Alabama. You can't even say Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, and Alabama, I guess. I mean, but a lot of these, the SEC is
really I think that NIL has kind of done what it was supposed to do and created parity in college football, which is really exciting. I think it's awesome, and I love it. It's fun to watch different teams win. It's fun to. And I think specifically with this being the first year of the 12-team playoff, it's going to make it really fun. And I'm excited for all of that. For those of you that are keeping track of the Yankees game, Yankees are up 3-2 in the top of the 8th. They have 2 outs and a runner on first. And
they're not scored. They're not scored in this setting. It's going to be. You're going to sweat it out.
I know. All right, so let's move on to the most intriguing matchups in college football this weekend. So this weekend, unlike last weekend, has all of the matchups. You should not go apple picking this weekend. You should stay home and watch college football. Or if you are like me, you'll be attending your last wedding of the season, of the year. So Kylan is going to pull those up today. But if you want to get a jump start on college football, watch JMU tomorrow. We got a home game tomorrow. ESPN has been there all week doing Sports Center from the lovely, beautiful Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I cannot wait. I think will be a more fun game to watch than Thursday Night Football. So hopefully they had a bad loss on Saturday. So hopefully they will shake it off and come back. So here we got our matchups coming off this week. Obviously, there's a few super, super big games. I know that I don't see it on here. I know the Oregon, Ohio State game is probably the keystone of all of the games. Ole Miss, LSU should be a good game.
Tennessee, Florida.
I think LSU is gunning for Ole Miss. They'd love to beat them. Mm-hmm. So we got a lot of really good matchups. You got Texas, Oklahoma, like Kylan mentioned earlier. So I think that there's going to be some fun ones. There's going to be some fun games. You got a lot of matchups within conference that are also top 25 matchups. And, some other teams that we don't talk about a whole lot are Army, Navy. They are playing real fun right now. So if you get a chance to watch either of them play this weekend, they are really fun teams to watch. Update, we now have a runner on first and second.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I think I got to say, I think the Red River Shootout, as I mentioned earlier, Texas, Oklahoma, I think will be a good game.
Yeah.
Illinois, Purdue, the offensive struggle fest. I think that'll be good. If you like to watch teams struggle to score, that's your game right there. Penn State, USC, and some inside look on this. No, this is not no Penn State inside sourcing, but this is something that's been making the rounds in state at least. Penn State had to travel from Harrisburg to get to California for this game because apparently the State College, which shouldn't surprise you, State College / University Park, because I know there are people like me who hate hearing people say State College when it's actually called University Park, PA. They had to fly from Harrisburg to get to LA, so there might be a little bit of a competitive disadvantage there for Penn State, but I still think that
is the craziest thing. Kyle, it is an hour and a half car ride on I'm sure, luxury bus for them to then take a private jet to fly to LA.
Look,
UCLA and USC fly every single week cross country for these games.
Look. I'm not saying that I expect Penn State to lose this game. I think they'll win pretty handily. I'm just saying there's a competitive.
They are giving themselves an excuse to lose to an unranked team.
Look, Morgan. You know I Penn State all the way, but I'm just saying that even though they're not flying until I think tomorrow. But I think Penn State should win this game pretty handily.
Yes.
I know UCLA just had to do this last week against Penn State. But I think Penn State should win this game pretty handily. I think, because y'all know, Kansas State, Colorado, I think that'll be a
if you really want to talk about it, freaking Boise State flying out to Hawaii. That's a hell of a lot longer flight than Penn State on their private Big Ten jet going to LA.
That's ridiculous if you're Boise State that you got to fly to Hawaii.
It's freaking crazy. And it's Boise State. I guarantee you their jet is not as nice as Penn State's jet is.
But given that Boise State is basically a football powerhouse as well, they should win this game against Hawaii. I mean, LA, Hawaii, I think I'll take Hawaii. Just having never been to Hawaii, I think I'll take Hawaii.
Yeah, it's just 5 hours farther. Yeah. So I think we've talked about these games. Watch them. We'll talk about them next week. I can foresee this week being some big shakeups in the top 25. So we will.
I want Syracuse in that top 25, man.
I know you do. I want JMU in that top 25, but that's not happening. So.
All right. So we'll move right along then to some NBA preseason.
I'm letting Kylan talk about this because I for the record, I was like, we're up too late. We're gonna cut the NBA, all the NBA stuff. And Kylan was like, no, we need to talk about the NBA preseason. And I was like, so you can talk about NBA preseason week 1 because I can tell you that I have not watched a second of NBA preseason because we have college football, NFL football, and the baseball playoffs, and the actual beginning of the NHL season. So Kylan can talk the NBA preseason. He wanted to talk to you guys about the New Zealand Breakers versus the 76ers, and I was like, we're not talking about that today. So.
But I'm going to get it in either way. So anyway, So NBA preseason week 1, right? Like, it's preseason. Obviously, the first games are always against like these international teams. You get to see what it looks like for the international teams. So we saw Nuggets. We saw the Nuggets. They look good. The Sixers look good. Bronny and LeBron being the first father-son duo that actually play together. I think, as Morgan talked about a few months ago, like, we don't know. I think Bronny should be in the G League to just develop, but he's going to get a trial by fire there because of who his daddy is. But I think the Sixers look really good, man. I think that obviously Paul George and Joel Embiid didn't play, but Jared McCain looked really good. He was doing that no-dip Nico Batum. Sorry. Nico Batum kind of 3 there. Like, it looks really good for the Sixers. I think Jared McCain's going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's actually going to make the Sixers roster and be a good role player for them. But I think at this point during the preseason, it's all about, trying to spot some X factors who may not play or spend some time in the G League. I think the Sixers have some. I think Bronny should be in the G League, but we'll see. I think NBA preseason week 1 looks really good, and we'll continue to monitor that. But it's preseason, so I'm not going to make any grand gestures, but I think it looks good for the teams it looks good for. And, you really get to see the depth of your team at this point, because most of these players that play in preseason, more than likely they'll end up on the G League unless their name is Bronny James. RC is with you. You see this? RC's with you. Because preseason don't really do much for him. But to what Morgan really wants to talk about this, I had no idea happened until Morgan texted me. I will be completely honest. I am going to be completely ignorant on this.
So I went off. I was really mad because let's preface this. I normally don't send topics. Normally Kylan does the topics and I'll talk about whatever he wants to. So this happened on Sunday. The alliteration where this started happened on Sunday, and the Giant. I don't even know if it was Slayton or Hyatt or somebody on the Giants got a big first down, and they did this, which is the universal first down sign across every, here, there, pointing, whatever. Every alliteration of that is one of the most done symbols in all of sports. I see it done daily on the high school field when I'm coaching. It's always done in college, whatever.
It's even done in basketball. They do it like this for the
whatever it is. It's pointing, it's saying, go forward, whatever. It has nothing. It is not the same as when these players are like going like this, doing like a machine gun celebration. Yeah, of course, that's not good.
Like what happened in South Carolina today.
Like what the celebration in South Carolina. And whatever had happened in the NFL, like the first week where he was trying to say, no, I was doing a T-shirt cannon. And you're like, no, you weren't. Like, whatever. No. But so either you need to come out as the NFL and say this symbol for first down, you can't do it anymore. And if that is what it is, fine. It's annoying, but fine. But then you see things like, I don't know if you saw in the Chiefs game, Patrick Mahomes did his little bow and arrow thing. They didn't get called flagged for it. Like, I'm sorry, that just means first down. That is meaning you're shooting something. So, I get
we're staying on target. I mean, I have seen him do it. I think he would argue staying on target, but whatever.
But again, it's the same kind of thing. Either you penalize everybody or you don't penalize anybody. And I am under the impression of, like, if you're not doing like come on.
Right.
Like, honestly, you're drawing more attention to it when you flag it. You're making people talk about it more when you flag it. Yes, tell them they cannot use a machine gun out there. Fine. You cannot pretend to stab, whatever. You can't do acts of violence. But the first down symbol, whatever you want to do for that is, and I'm pretty sure he did this. Not even like finger. I'm pretty sure it was 2 fingers like this. Like that. Which is just whatever. So I'm yes, I do not think that people should be using guns as a celebration for a touchdown or things like that. But I do think that you should be able to do the first down symbol, which has been done in sports forever. You know.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that, and I just saw this when Morgan, like, we text each other playfully and stuff back and forth with different things going on in our lives, but we usually save the back and forth for like Giants, Phillies, Mets, whatever, Yankees, whatever. But she texted me out the blue. It was like, Kyla, I can't believe it. I'm like, whoa, what?
There's like all capitals, and I'm like on Twitter tweeting. I was on the Amtrak driving, going down to DC, and I had nothing else to do, and I was so angry.
I was literally thinking that like this was a cold emergency or something. She's texting me about this. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm literally playing 2K because I'm like, oh, the game.
Dan was like, okay, Morgan, it's not that big of a deal, and I was like, I was going crazy. I don't get angry like that a lot, but I was mad.
The game was delayed at 9:45, and Morgan's texting me. I'm thinking she's calling me about that, but she's texting me about this gun thing, and then I have to look into it. The Yankees must have done something bad. But I am of the mindset that as long as it's not like Morgan egregious with the shot again, like obviously there's a lot of violence, most of it with legal guns in this country, so we don't want to be out here glorifying guns, but. I don't know what happened to Morgan. Hopefully she'll be back. But we don't want to be out here glorifying guns. And it's kind of a mystery. We kind of need that back. But I'm of the mindset, kind of like Morgan, that the things probably need to change. I'm of the mindset. I do this all the time with the Eagles when they get a first down. What happened?
I have no idea. Not a clue.
Yeah, so like I'm of the mindset that this is fine. This might be a little over the line, but you can do something like this as long as you're not cocking it back.
Long as it's just like and it's like you get down on one knee and you're like first down. Like I don't know, it's an obvious.
I think like doing it this way, like I do it where it's clear. Boom.
Like that, and even putting the two fingers with the thumb down, like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine, but when you do what Dylan Stewart did, where you catch the ball, you get the first down, and you're shooting the dude that's on the ground, not cool at all. But I don't even know, was that? I guess I don't think in college football they're more strict about it, so it probably was flagged. But like the first down symbol doesn't need to be regulated, but slow down on the gun talk, a la Ja Morant. Let's not be doing that. But this is cool. Let's do it this way, y'all. So moving right along to our shout out seg. Any shout outs, Morgan?
I do. So I know that Kylan is not the biggest NHL fan, but I don't know if you saw this, that the Seattle Kraken have hired their first female coach. So a huge shout out to Jessica Campbell. She made history as the first woman to coach behind the bench in the NHL. So she is.
I did see that video. I'm happy for her. Good for her.
Yeah. She was a college hockey player. She played. She was on the Canadian national team. She's great, and super well deserved. She's super well respected within the hockey community. So genuinely happy for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want. Oh, that's all? That's all for you?
Yeah.
I want to shout out to all the people doing, in wake of these tragedies with these hurricanes. Sorry, hurricanes. I don't know why I say it like that. Hurricanes. I'm tired, y'all, too. Hurricanes. Everybody coming together, especially in PA. They had a truck thing for them going to Asheville, North Carolina. For those of you that don't know, you lived under a rock. Asheville was really hit hard as a city, literally a city on the hill or a city on a mountain. In this case, got really hit hard with the hurricane. So there's trucks going down. There's firefighters and stuff from Philly and all these other places that are going down there as well to help them out. Probably will be rerouted to Florida after whatever happens, after Milton does whatever it's going to do. But shout out to everybody coming together for some hurricane relief, especially during these divisive times. I mean, the country's always been divided, but it's a whole thing. So shout out to them. I think that's it for my shout outs that I can recall. So we can move right along to all of y'all's favorite segment. He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. Morgan, do you want to start or should I?
You can start. I don't know what just happened in this game, so let me watch.
All right, so by they aren't them, I gotta go with the Chicago Sky. I've got a couple of they aren't them, but I gotta go with the Chicago Sky. What are you doing firing Teresa Weatherspoon after 1 year? I mean, usually basketball coaches get a little bit more leeway. That's something that I see in the NFL or in college football, not in the WNBA. Pissing Angel Reese off already and having her tweet that that's the only reason that she's there is because of Teresa Weatherspoon and because of what she saw in her. Not really a good way to let your market yourself to your star player and players. For Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso. So they aren't them to the Chicago Sky front office because what are you doing? Like one more year at least before you fire her, right? Like Camilla was out injured. That's what happens when you play college basketball and then go straight into the WNBA season. Like we're probably like 2 or 3 weeks in between. They aren't them. The Chicago Sky front office. What are you doing? They aren't them to my Philadelphia Phillies. Morgan knows. Some of y'all don't. I am 4 for 4. But two of the teams that I have the least faith in of the big four in Philadelphia, and this kind of gets me in trouble with one of our constant guests here and a good friend of ours, Matt Rogers. He's one of those people. He thinks that top two is Eagles, Phillies, then Sixers, Flyers. I am Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, then Flyers. But it's no big deal. We all have our preference of teams. But I have the least amount of faith, and Morgan can tell y'all because we've had this conversation. She's always shocked that of the big four, I have the least faith in the Phillies. But the Phillies haven't. I say this all the time. Like they got no hit in the World Series most recently. They made it to the big game, obviously, but to me, changes need to be made because there's no excuse. Bryce Harper does all he can, but the bats outside of him are silent. There's the pitching. The pitching goes by the wayside outside the starting pitching. Like they had a chance to beat the Mets and extend this game, but didn't. And like to me, when you're in a league with no cap, there should be, and literally, I mean no cap space, not the actual no cap phrase. But like there's no cap. And what are you doing? So I think the Phillies need change. I think the manager should be fired. I think that they need to literally get some reliable bats in there. I think that they need reliable arms in their bullpen. I think that they need a Steve Kerr, a baseball Steve Kerr who could come in there and get them over the hump because it's about to be 17 years since you won a championship. And to me, I'm in a what have you done for me lately type of thing. I think the standard is the standard. And I think there are a lot of Philadelphia sports fans that need to evaluate the standard because, I've seen consistent disappointment. Some people would say my Sixers consistently disappoint as well, which is very much true. But, they're Joel Embiid and Jalen Hurts get skewered and Morgan's seen it because she does these shows. They get skewered every time they fail. Like an interception or a fumble happens, Jalen Hurts is trending on Twitter right away. So like Joel Embiid doesn't show up in a big game 7 against the Celtics, even though he scored 26 points. That wasn't enough for y'all. Y'all got him ranked like 10th on the all-time Philadelphia athletes list. But Bryce Harper and them no show. Everybody's like, oh, it's the bats, it's the manager, it's the pitcher. I just want the standard to be the standard, I want my argument to be clear here. I want each Philadelphia team, whether the star player is black or white, treated the same. If Jalen Hurts and Joel Embiid get skewered for every misstep they do in 12-minute and 15-minute quarters, then Bryce Harper needs to be trending every time he makes a mistake. Bryce Stout needs to be trending every time he makes a mistake. Everybody who makes a mistake, everybody who doesn't show up needs to be treated the same. I'm tired of y'all treating the Phillies with kid gloves for a team that hasn't won anything. Listen to me clearly now, Philadelphia. Hasn't won anything in going on 17 years. Like, I need y'all to treat this with kid gloves. Like, Ryan Howard got treated worse for breaking his Achilles, going for a strikeout that he shouldn't have swung at, but he did. He got skewered more than Bryce Harper and them get skewered. Like, stop treating them with kid gloves. They have all this money, have a billionaire owner, and they aren't doing anything for us. Like, they got to a World Series, but they consistently disappoint. The Eagles are doing the same thing. The question needs to be asked. Like, they aren't them until they do something, until they get a manager in there. I don't even want to compare because I basically want them treated like the Sixers are until they show they can get over the hump. And I don't, and a lot of people like think I'm being Sixers biased here, but I say the same thing. Yeah, I'm too smart for this, but I'll say the same thing. Like, the Sixers, Joel Embiid and Jalen Hurts, where every misstep that they do in every game trend on Twitter. But Bryce Harper, nah, nothing. Trey Turner, nothing. Like, come on. Like, treat them the same. Like, it does not matter. Black, white, whatever. Treat them the same. The standard is the standard. Start having them trending on WIP. Start having clips going viral on PFT about some Bryce Harper stuff instead of just about Jalen Hurts. Like, they aren't them until they do something for me. Like, the Phillies haven't won anything in 17 years. The Eagles haven't won anything since 2017. That's going on 7 years. Like, same thing. Treat them all the same. That's my there. Those are my they aren't thems. I don't really think I have a he's not him. I'm going to save Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee for Morgan because I know that's her two favorites. So that's where I'm at. Morgan.
Yeah, I'm actually not doing them because I don't think they were. Aaron Rodgers probably had something to do with the firing of Robert Saleh, but I can't pin it to him, and I don't want to get a lawsuit. So I'm just gonna say Woody. I keep calling him Woody Harrelson. Woody Johnson for his absolutely absurd press conference. Like, what are you doing? Get it together. I don't know. There was a better way to handle that. I get that you got embarrassed in front of your friends in Florida, not in Florida, in London. I get it. But there's a better way to handle that. I think if you were going to fire him on Monday. Like, don't let him work all of Monday. The whole thing is just weird. Like, fire him as soon as he gets off the plane. Like, don't let him, I don't know. It's weird. It's sketchy. And it's not great. Sorry. This game. Oh, safe. Okay, good. Sorry. It's the top of the ninth. The Yankees are up 3-2. So
I told you we'll sort it out.
But women have been fairly good recently. I let Kylan have his. Sure, women will do something soon to piss me off and make me mad, but they've been fine this week. They've been fine.
My favorite's coming back in LSU.
I know.
Season,
we got basketball season starting in a few weeks.
Birdman meme over here. Can't wait.
Yeah. And then I'll say just my they aren't them. It's not like a big one, but it's there's I don't know how to say this. I'm just going to say it in like child's terms. Like, I just want people to stop yucking other people's yums. Have you ever heard that saying?
Nope.
Like, don't yuck my yum. So like, if I were to say like, I dip my grilled cheese in ketchup because I think that tastes yummy. And you're like, that's gross. Don't yuck my yum. Just because I like it and you don't doesn't mean that it's bad. I think that, sometimes with sports, especially rivalries and things like that, we can yuck each other's yums, and I think that there's a way to have a rivalry and not be mean and personal and so just as a reminder, I feel like baseball gets really bad with that. They take things really personally, so just remember not to yuck other people's yums. Let people enjoy the teams that they enjoy. Good rivalries are always fun, but don't need to take things too far. It's more of a reminder than anything that is like actually happened. More of just like a reminder as we go farther into the playoffs and farther into the NFL season, get closer to playoffs there, things like that.
NBA in 2 weeks, baby. NBA in 2 weeks. Midnight Madness. We are getting into it.
We are rocking and rolling. NHL literally started tonight, so like there's a lot going on. So
what's cousin Connor doing? He good?
I don't know if Connor's playing tonight. I think he starts tomorrow. I think his first game's tomorrow.
Right.
But our final thoughts to you guys. We just again, keep praying for everybody down there in Florida. Continue prayers for the folks out in Asheville and other areas that were still being affected by Helene. It's going to be a long cleanup. It's going to be probably years worth of cleanup there. So just a reminder to not forget about them just because this hurricane is happening in Florida. Stay safe. If you were unable to evacuate, just don't do anything. I don't want to say stupid, but do your best, stay safe. We don't want to hear about any, it's going to be tragic, but we want to keep it as non-tragic, I guess, as possible. I know that's easier said than done for us safe up here in the Northeast. But give us a follow on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Like, follow, subscribe, share, send our podcast to other people if they like it. We got about a week and a half left of WNBA. We got a month left of baseball. We got, what week are we on? Week 5, week 6. We got a lot of weeks left of football, and NBA and NHL are starting, college basketball. So we got some good stuff coming up.
Man, baby.
So we're excited. We are excited.
Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's the greedy holidays for all us foodies out there. I unfortunately, so Morgan, I'll keep up with the football, but I'm on a retreat this weekend, so I will be missing a lot of whatever happens on Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure Morgan will keep.
I will be wedding on Saturday, so we'll most likely both be watching some highlights of college and following along on our phones. So we will give you the best update that we can, but
stay tuned.
We will see you guys next week.
Yep. See y'all later.
Bye, guys.
See ya.